Hello and welcome to the first ever episode of the Sky's the Limit podcast. If you're looking for a podcast all about self-love and development, prioritising yourself, or just a reminder about how important and special you truly are, then you're in the right place. My name is Sky, and today we're talking about how limits hold us back and how to work through them with choosing to work with yourself. So limits, what are they and why do we have them? Limits look different to everyone and they're going to differ person to person depending on how you're brought up, what people you surround yourself with, and what content you consume. To me, limits look like feeling like you can't look a certain way because of what people might think of you or they might judge you, feeling like you can't act a certain way because you don't want to be perceived as weird, or maybe not dressing a certain way, or decorating your room in a certain way, or maybe not pursuing your dreams because you want to be cringe, or you feel you aren't free to be yourself. That is kind of the outcome of limits. You're basically very trapped and contained. One of my old limits used to be I thought I couldn't communicate with others on how I felt in case they took it the wrong way. But what I've learned is if you've expressed yourself in a non-blaming way to someone and they simply can't comprehend that they may have hurt you when you're simply trying to preserve the friendship and communicate how you feel, they might not be the healthiest types of people to hang out with. And I think that's the case for a lot of people. They don't know how to express themselves properly or share how they feel in the fear that someone else might take it the wrong way. But if you're at the place where you want to tell them how you feel so it can preserve the friendship and better the relationship in the long run, that's not a sign of rudeness or arrogantness. That is simply just a sign of a good person. Healthy communication in any relationship is essential. Going back to limits, in my opinion, they kind of feel like a box. Like you're given a box, you're given a rule book, and it's very black and white, and it's like, here, deal with this. You're kind of stuck. You get trapped into a box, contained and limited. And if you think back to a kid when literally nothing mattered, before everyone else's opinions even came into your head, you were limitless. Think about it. If you wanted to climb a tree, well, you might as well give it a go. If you want to wear head-to-toe bright yellow, who's to judge you? Kids are definitely carefree. Not to say that's always the safest way to be, but there's definitely things you can take from that. In my eyes, comfort zones and limits kind of go hand in hand. In the similarities is our brain thinks that they're there to protect us, which couldn't really be further from the truth. Comfort zones kind of create anxiety. It creates false information to our brain. It's kind of telling us, oh, you can't do that or that'll happen, or if you do that, this will happen, or if you don't do that, or if you don't conform to how society wants you to, something bad will happen, or people won't like you, and that's the be-all, end-all. When in reality, we're not made to be liked. You're just here to live and enjoy and be happy and thrive and be your authentic self, and there's no one better than your authentic self. A comfort zone it keeps us comforted, it keeps us wrapped up. There's no room to grow in a comfort zone. And as we all know, a comfort zone is a beautiful place, but there's no room to grow. Same situation with limits. They're quite literally in the name. They limit us, they trap us. And as people, we are made to grow in more ways than one, to grow physically, mentally, emotionally, and in our careers and friendships. Let your addiction for growth be stronger than your addiction for comfort. Limits make us feel, well, at least for me, less than the people who you aspire to be like. Or when your brain tells you, oh, you can't do that because these people might judge you, that the people who might judge you are more than you. Like they're not worth more than you, but they're better than you, which is simply not true. No one is better or worse than you. And that goes for everything. There's no better or no worse. And I love that. And that's something I remind myself constantly. And I think for some people, though, it's a lot easier just to accept that box that they've been given. It is easier for them to accept, okay, I just have to conform to this box. I have to fit into this box to make other people happy. When you're not put on this planet to make other people happy, you're here for you and you only. Never cut off edges of yourself to fit into someone else's frame. There's no one better than your authentic self. It's just a matter of time until you meet them. I think talking about comfort zones, I think it's quite authentic to you and what your comfort zones are. Someone's comfort zone may be they always want to be out and seen with people and they're nervous to be seen alone, where other people, they like their own company, but they're scared some other people may perceive them as boring, or some people may be really comfortable with their painting ability, so they know they're amazing at painting, but if it comes to writing, that doesn't connect with them in the same way, so they're scared people will judge them. Or maybe you think, or maybe you know you're really good at baking, but I don't know, it's so unique to everyone, and whatever your life experiences are, you're going to have your own comfort zones. And a comfort zone is a beautiful place, but you just want to make sure it's not where you live, it's just somewhere you can pop in and out of when you need to. And you want to have a good relationship with your comfort zones. However, with limits, it's not quite the same. You don't always want limits. They don't really benefit you in any way. You benefit the limits. You don't want the limits to grow bigger than yourself, because that's the moment where it becomes a bit out of control and your life is ruled by your mind, when your body and your mind want to work hand in hand as your mind is living in your body, if that makes any sense. The moment we dissociate our mind and our body is kind of when everything goes wrong. The moment we start just listening to our mind on autopilot, because realistically our mind isn't any better. Our mind's got so many parts that make up our mind, like our ego, like our confidence, our anxiety, our fear, our depression, our happiness, our sadness, our communication skills, our coping mechanisms, our comfort zones, our limits, the part of our brain that tells us we can deal with the part of our brain that tells us we can't. We kind of want to have a healthy balance with everything and maybe just shut out those voices that tell us we can't. The more you tell yourself you can, and I can do this, and I have got this, the more you physically will. It's scientifically proven. Your words do rule what you do. If you constantly tell yourself, I can't, I'm living proof of this. I used to tell myself all the time, I can't do that, or I can't do that. As soon as something that's a bit out of my comfort zone would come up, I would automatically tell myself, I could never do that, or I can't do that, or no, I can't do that, that'd be awful. And automatically now it's a habit. I go, no, I can. This is with a snap of the fingers, my brain's gone to autopilot. I can do that. I could do that. It might not be something I can do or I have done before, but it's something I want to give my best go at. And there you go. You're trying your best, and your best isn't always enough. It's about overcoming our limits. It's about overriding that voice, which our limits are saying, oh no, you can't do that. Or saying one of your limits is you don't feel like you can dress a certain way because you don't want people to judge you. Your limit is going to tell you, oh no, people can judge you, or no, you can't do that, what's the point, you're going to get laughed at. Then you want to override that with thinking, no, I can do it, I'm not here to be liked by the people, I'm not here for other people to perceive me, I'm not dressing for other people, I'm dressing for me, full stop. There you go. It's about just constantly showing up for yourself and proving to yourself you are more than what your brain thinks of you, what other people think of you. You are, how much you laugh, how much, how much you laugh, what people you help, what music you like, what films you like. You are what your favourite flavour of cookies are, or what podcasts you listen to, or instruments you play, what books you like, or when you sit, or what your favourite sport is. You're really not what you look like. That's the least of your problems, or should be the least of your problems. And hopefully we can learn to shut off that voice and kind of drown it with us telling ourselves we can, and there's nothing I cannot do, which I absolutely love that. Okay, moving on to let's start working with ourselves and not against ourselves. This mentality I really adopted recently, and it's kind of just a daily practice. As soon as I wake up, I think, okay, what's one thing that takes 10 minutes that I can just do that will put myself in a good mood? What's one thing I can do that I know will set me up for a good day? That could literally be a small thing, like not going on my phone for the next 2 hours, opening my blinds, which I do every morning anyway, but sometimes you just need that extra push, going on literally a 5-minute walk to the post box and back, posting on your favourite music, or maybe having a breakfast and sitting down and watching your favourite show for however long you've got, or maybe you need an extra 15 minutes in bed. Whatever that may be, take time for yourself. If you can do it, that is so beneficial, and if you start your day off well, you honestly can't go wrong. And bearing in mind, this applies to whenever in the day, whenever you feel out of whack, just check in with yourself and what do I need to do right now? And do that. Basically, becoming intuitive with yourself so you know when you'll need certain things is so important, and it's just so nice. You want to kind of have a toolbox for yourself, a toolbox for your emotions. And as soon as you kind of feel yourself becoming a bit overwhelmed or stressed, or Whenever you feel yourself like you're going to procrastinate, you're feeling a bit triggered, you're feeling a bit stressed, you know what to take from that toolbox. You know, okay, if I have a nap now, that's going to benefit me. If I turn my phone off, that's going to benefit me. If I have a snack and some water, that is going to benefit me. If I go out, go on a walk, turn my phone off, that is going to benefit me. If I call a friend, that is going to benefit me. That is being intuitive with yourself. On the other hand, if you've had a really nice day or busy day and your plan was to go to the gym or go on a run or maybe go to a dance class or yoga class, but you think, actually, the last thing I want to do is that. You don't have to do it. It's being intuitive with yourself. It's just understanding, okay, I don't have to do that if I don't want to. Obviously, I said, like, yoga class, if you booked it, probably go to the class. But it's just like, if you just were like planning on going to the gym, you don't have to do anything you don't want to do. Like, being intuitive with yourself will only benefit you later. Time taken to take care of yourself and show love to yourself is never ever wasted. This is so important to remember. We can't expect ourselves to work, think, or do 24/7. And if we do, it's not going to be productive, efficient, and you might get to the point where you physically get ill and you become so overwhelmed. I think one thing the human race does is constantly go, go, go. How many things can I get done in the day? How many things can I get done in this hour? When in reality, it should be, how many things can I do in this hour that's going to make me inspired? How many things can I do in the next hour that is going to make me happy? How many things can I do in the next hour that is going to benefit my future self? Obviously, not every hour of the day can you do that, but if for the next half an hour you've got a free half an hour, or you can schedule it in, think, what thing is going to make me feel inspired? Maybe that thing is tidying your bedroom, or maybe that thing is playing your favourite instrument, or maybe that thing is cleaning your mirror, because I'm looking at my mirror right now and it's very dirty. So maybe that would make me feel inspired. Or maybe that thing is, I don't know, whatever that thing may be for you. And that's going to be unique for you, and that's what makes you you. Also, giving yourself enough hours to sleep, rest, see people who fill up your battery, and fueling your body correctly will only pay off in the future. It's not lazy, or you're not slacking for taking time for yourself. Obviously, everyone's lives are very busy and individual to yourself, but you don't need time to do it. Just like schedule it in, give yourself half an hour for yourself a day. Whatever your thing is, just fill it up with that, because you don't want to get to the point where you drowned yourself out with all this work and you just get so overwhelmed, so triggered, so stressed, where your brain's kind of just on autopilot and nothing's going in, it's kind of going over the top of your head, but you feel like you just have to work because you feel like you're slacking if you're not doing that. You don't need to be going 24/7. Obviously, I understand we've all got things we need to be doing, but that's not necessarily productive for our future selves. It might be working for you now, but in a week's time, when you're so overwhelmed and your body's so tired, you might get physically ill, which I have definitely done to myself in the past, and I've learned not to overwhelm myself to that point anymore, which is so important. Also, just giving yourself time to live and think is just like so key, and I think we forget to do that. Give yourself time just to think, and I think also prioritizing what you want to be doing in your day. Do you really want to be scrolling on your phone for half an hour a day, or do you really want to be procrastinating for an hour every day, or do you really need to be, or would you rather swap out something? Maybe you used to spend an hour tidying your bedroom. You can maybe swap it out for one day and just journal, if that's your type of thing. Or maybe you could, if you're feeling so overwhelmed and you're meant to be seeing your friend this weekend, just cancel that and just take time for yourself. If they're your true friend, they will understand. There's nothing wrong for taking time for yourself and prioritizing your needs, and just giving the brain room to think. If you're constantly doing something, if you're constantly consuming content, if you're constantly either listening to music or a podcast or YouTube video or Netflix, you never give your brain time just to think. And I think that's quite a scary thing for some people, just being left with their own thoughts. But I think if you just give yourself 5 minutes a day, literally 5 minutes a day, just to be sat with your own thoughts. And I think it's also not necessarily the nicest thing if your thoughts aren't good thoughts, but trying to change those for 5 minutes and just literally set a timer on your phone for 5 minutes. Say, okay, I'm going to sit with myself for 5 minutes and then I'm done and I can do whatever I need to do. That is really productive. Or maybe you work better if you say, okay, I'm going to journal for the next 5 minutes and sit with my thoughts that way. Or maybe you talk through your thoughts with a therapist or a friend, or whoever, or family member, whatever it may be, sitting with your thoughts is so important, because your brain's just going to get cluttered and it hasn't really got anywhere to go. It's just going to get stuck and overwhelmed. It used to be a really scary thing for me to do, just being sit with my thoughts, just being sat with my thoughts. Whenever I went on a walk, I'd always have my headphones in, but I kind of got to the point where, if you ever notice you're on a walk, and I'm a podcast girl through and through, I love my podcasts, so I'd be listening to a podcast and I'd be like, I can take off my headphones, and I'd sit with my thoughts. So I'd listen to the podcast and I'd be like, okay, how do I feel about that? How do I feel about what they've just said? And I'd think about it, and I'd be sat with my own thoughts, and by the time I knew it, it'd be like 10 minutes, and then I'd be like, okay, I'm done now, I'm going to put like music on, so I put music on. And then it kind of just became to the point where I'd be like, okay, 20 minutes with my thoughts now, and then half an hour with my thoughts. And now I kind of just go on a walk without my headphones. Don't get me wrong, I love a good walk or run with my headphones, but I'm just happy to sit with my thoughts. And I never understood people, like literally a month ago, I remember I saw someone online and they're like, oh yeah, like I literally adore running, like, you know, without headphones, like it's so much fun, like I love my thoughts. And I was like, I like my thoughts, but not that much. But now, like, I will go on a walk just to think, and I think that's such a nice place we can get to. But obviously, baby steps, or maybe you've always loved your thoughts, and that's amazing. But I think for some people it's quite a daunting thing, so just taking it easy and reminding yourself you don't need to go straight to the deep end. I think that's something a lot of us do. Like, we will just be like, all or nothing mindset. I say used to, I kind of still am. I'm very much all or nothing, which I'm working on, because I think that's quite difficult, because say you've only got 50% that day, but you need to do quite a big task, and it could actually be split into two parts, but like, no, I want to do it all. That's not going to happen, because you've only got 50% to give, or maybe you've got 25% to give, or 5% to give, but you just want to get a little bit done, but you've got an all or nothing mindset, so you feel if you only do a bit of it, you're failing or you're not being productive. So that's something I'm working on. But I think, yeah, the more hours we can give to, the more minutes, seconds, hours we can give to ourselves of just living in the present, appreciating where we are, and not constantly looking for more or the next thing. I think it's just when we appreciate where we are and we're just living, and I think that's when everything just kind of seems more exciting, and the light comes back in your life, because when you take time for yourself, you'll notice the small things, and when you notice, and honestly, the small pleasures in life are so incredible. Like, I'm sat in my bedroom right now, and my windows, they're like quite big, so it's quite nice, and the sun's coming in, and the sun's kind of setting right now, and the tree, it's a bit windy, so, but because the sun's just setting, like, it's all a bit golden, and the leaves are like whooshing. When does that word? No, like moving, swaying, that's the word. And that's so beautiful. And if I was constantly go, 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 I would have noticed that. But you don't obviously have to take 5 minutes to appreciate the swaying leaves. It's just being conscious that you don't constantly need to be go, go, go. And that's not necessarily the most productive thing to do. And yeah, I think productivity is quite toxic for some people. For some people it might be amazing, because for some people they may have had the opposite. They may have been in a spiral of like procrastination, so maybe productivity has actually really worked for them. And I think I was in a place in my life maybe like a year or two ago where I used to like segment into my day. So I used to be like, okay, at 7:30 I'm going to wake up, and then at 8 I'm going to be like get ready, and then like at 8:30 I'm going to go on a walk, and then etc 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 or whatever, and then like I'll go to bed at this time. And that really worked for me, and genuinely that like changed my life, because I just had so much structure, and that was lovely for me. But now I can't think of anything worse. Like, I just want to live, and I want to see what happens, and I just want to go with the flow. And I love being in the flow, you know what I mean? Like, when you're in the flow, it's amazing. Like, just living life and seeing, like, if you're about to make yourself lunch and then you walk into your bedroom to grab something and you realise your room's a bit of a mess, so think, okay, after my lunch I'm going to tidy up my bedroom. I love that, because that feels very intuitive, and I think that's been my main goal for like this year. Maybe actually one of my New Year's goals has been just to be intuitive with myself, and keep showing up for myself and having trust in myself, which actually I think will be the final topic. I think this will be the final topic of the episode. Which is having trust in yourself, which is so important, and I think something I talk about a lot, like with my friends and stuff, because like I think I've gained so much trust with myself in the past 2 years. I never used to show up for myself. I never used to be very kind to myself. And I just wasn't thriving and I wasn't my own bestie. And now I am. Like, I know I will show up for myself. If I'm procrastinating, I can rely on myself to be like, okay, you need to do this to make yourself feel better. Or if I wake up and I think about getting my phone, I'll be like, no, that's not going to benefit you. That's not for you anymore. Like, that was your own that was your old coping mechanism, not your new one. I think also, like, I saw this thing, I saw this thing on Instagram, and it was like, if you want like a journal prompt, if you're a journaling girl, write like your new and old coding, if that makes sense. So like your old coding, like your old coping mechanisms. So my old coping mechanisms would be when I procrastinate, I would just sit on my phone and procrastinate more. My new coping mechanism to that is putting my phone down and going on a walk, just to get some fresh air, try and change my mind, and let my thoughts kind of flow, and like kind of let the anxiety physically go. Just do some physical movement so anxiety can literally get out of me. Or like an old coping mechanism of mine used to be, if someone said something bad about me, I'd be like, oh my god, I would go to myself, I'd be like, okay, what's wrong with me? Oh my god, how can I change myself? Oh my god, like, you know, what else are they thinking of me? Does everyone think this? Now I'm be like, okay, that's on them for saying that. That's not valid for me anymore. People saying mean stuff about me is not valid, and like that's not coming in. Like, you know, that's not valid here. Like, you can go. And that's a reflection on them and how they feel on themselves. If you think about anything mean you've said about someone, think about it and be like, why did I say that? And realistically, if you actually think about it and analyse it, it's probably a reflection on yourself and how you feel towards yourself. When I went through a stage of judging a lot of other people, that was when I judged myself the most. And realistically, I just wasn't living. Like, I was constantly living in my head, which meant I was constantly thinking in a toxic way. Like, I wasn't actually living. Like, I love the saying, get out of your head and back into your body, because it's just like, live life in your body sometimes. Obviously, it's amazing to live life through your head, but sometimes that's quite a stressful place. So just live life through your body. And yeah. What else? Okay, shall we end the episode with some of my favourite positive affirmations? And because I think that'll be quite cute. Because my bedroom is absolutely filled with positive affirmations. I've literally got one right next to me, which says stop self-sabotaging, because it's on my bed and that's when I normally scroll on my phone. So I've got that, and then I've got one on my mirror that says you are so much more than just a reflection, which you are. And then I've also got another one on my mirror which says admire someone's beauty without questioning your own, which really got me through a lot of stuff, because instead of judging someone, I'd be like, they're beautiful and I'm beautiful. They're no better than me and I'm no better than them. Like, no better, no worse. And I love that. Another one says, stop being a passenger in your own life. Stop putting people on pedestals. Stop scrolling your life away. And then I've got one on my mirror which says, I have to keep showing up for myself. And I've got another one which says, you're the love of your own life, act accordingly. And then I've got one more which says, kindness is a way of life. Okay, I think we've come to the end of my first ever Sky's the Limit podcast episode. I hope you've taken something from this episode, and if you did, please give it a rating. It would mean the absolute world to me. Whatever you've taken from it, I hope you can maybe imply it to your life, or maybe one of the quotes matched with you. Whatever it was, I hope you enjoyed. I think I'm gonna maybe do a little walk. When I say little, I think I literally mean I'm gonna walk to my postbox and back, just to have some fresh air, which I love doing all the time. Then I'll come back and have some dinner, which will be gorgeous. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day, whatever time you're listening. You deserve it. Sending lots of love, Sky.